Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin With Web Show. I'm GW Pomisher. Thank you so much for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't done it yet, go on down and hit subscribe and click the little notification bell. Come back over and over again. See some fantastic. We got authors, we got artists, we got filmmakers, we've got musicians, creators of all kinds. We're coming at you this weekend from the Artworks O'Galley Fine Arts Festival in historic downtown O'Galley. And we're hanging here with Hangin With Web Show alumnus DL Havlin, the author of The Bateman. DL, thanks for coming back on the show.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yes.
I was looking at the table in there. You've been busy.
Yes, I have.
You've been busy, and we have The Bateman here.
The Bateman?
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Give us the book blurb on The Bateman. What can readers look forward to?
The blurb for The Bateman is they can look forward to a real thriller, a suspenseful tale set right here in Vero and Beach in Melbourne.
Right here.
Right here. Right
so
here.
It's a nice central Florida East Coast.
It has that hometown flavor
thriller.
that you look for.
A thriller.
That's right.
Now that's not a word that people. We live in Melbourne here. That's
right.
not a word that people associate with us normally. What kind of thriller are we looking at here?
Well, all of my books, GW, have a theme, like the Blue Water, Red Blood, like we talked about last time we were on. This one has to do with a woman who's trying to reestablish her reputation. She was born in Vero Beach, grew up, had the reputation of being the village wild child, and now what she's trying to do is she's trying to live that down and reconstruct her reputation within the community.
And you know what? You and I both are at this middle-aged place where we know what you do in 20 will bite you right in your 40-year-old butt, and so on and so forth, right?
That's exactly right.
So now, when you were writing such a localized tale, okay, did you find it easier or more difficult to write in a place where you know everyone knows the street names, everyone knows the settings that you're doing?
Yes.
It does put you on the spot, because we all know there's that one reader who's going to say, you know, that street's not really. Did you feel challenged by that at all?
I would, but when I write about something I'm passionate about, GW. And so what I do is I really believe that I have a responsibility to my readers to do the research that's necessary so that they don't have I gotcha moments, okay?
Yeah.
For example, one of the things I talk about in Vero is the whole history of having the Dodgers come there as a result of the Second World War barracks that were built.
Well, I know that you write a lot of period and historical stuff into your work.
Right.
And we talked about that the last time we talked on the show. And so where is this? Is this a modern day setting, or is this?
This is a modern day setting. And I'm glad you mentioned that because one of the things I try to work in my writing is I always try to have some kind of a theme.
Okay.
And this, of course, is the difficulties that a person experiences when they try to rehabilitate their personal reputation.
And in that, again, like I said, you have historical themes in other books that you've written, and of course you're very committed to making sure that, like, the town of Vero is well represented.
Exactly.
The way it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Do you find that when you're writing such a personal story about an individual, do you find parallels in that to when you're writing your other work? To, you know, it's just as hard to rehabilitate a single individual as it is to rehabilitate the way we see a history as a whole.
Absolutely, and yes, I do. Okay, that's a good question. Another thing that I try to do, and you alluded to this, I believe that readers are thinkers, and I think that readers are looking for those little kernels of facts of history that they can gain something from. And you know, in this book,
in fiction writing, we call it the suspension of disbelief. And in order to suspend your disbelief, I have to give you just enough to believe.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. That's a good point.
And you know, I have to if I can put a murderer on the street, as long as it's the right street, which is connected to the other right street, and once you believe in those things, you believe in my murderer and my victim and my cop and my rehabilitation of my people around, you know, my characters.
And people will identify with that because they can see themselves in the setting.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know, we're going to put links to the Bateman. Excuse me, my throat. It does happen. We've been talking a lot. We're going to put links to the Bateman down in our description down below so people can find it on Amazon and all over the web. We're going to put links to DL Havlin down below on your Facebook and things like that. People will stalk you. It'll be mostly Dina, but there'll be some others too. And as we do that, though, we have a segment of our show that we've just created. Well, we haven't just created, but since you and I talked, we've created it. And I call it clickbait. And on the internet, clickbait are those headlines that you simply can't look away from.
I got you.
Okay, and I need a headline. So I need to have author DL Havlin said this absolutely ridiculous thing. And so what I did was I sent the girls to the internet. I said, find me some personality questions. Let me get inside DL's head. Bring me a ridiculous question, and DL's real life answer might become our million-view headline.
We'll try.
We're going to get, as far as you know, I could be telling the truth.
That's correct.
It might happen. Or I could be writing fiction, either one. But we're going to try it anyway. Okay, so, all right. If you were a superhero in a comic book, who would you be?
I think I would be Underdog.
Look, YouTubers, look it up. It's a thing. We grew up on that. And he was funny. Underdog was an understated hero. Yes. You know who I used to like? I used to like Hong Kong Phooey. Remember him?
Hong Kong Phooey, yes.
I used to like him. Okay, now, you're a writer. You write historical, you write fiction, you're a very creative person. I'm going to let you write yourself, DL Havlin, into any fictional universe. But the rule is, DL's got to spend a week there. Where would you want to go?
That's a tough
See,
one.
I had somebody say Game of Thrones, and I said a week on Game of Thrones. You're never going to make it.
No.
So where would you write yourself into, DL?
I would write myself into Hannibal, Missouri, floating down with Tom and Huck down the Mississippi.
Floating down the Mississippi with Tom and Huck. That's a good place to be.
That is.
You're going to have one hell of an adventure.
The only way I'm going to get hurt is step on a catfish horn.
Okay, I told you they go to the internet for these.
Yes.
It's a double blind. I don't get to see them first. So I'm going to look up here. I'm going to read this so I don't get it wrong.
Okay.
If you had a garden gnome in your front yard, what would he say to you if he came to life? Who thought of
now
that?
That one is a tough one. He would say, "You mean you haven't shaved for another week?"
You've been right. Garden gnome, he's been writing. He hasn't had time to shave. He's you should see his table. He's cranking out copy, this guy. Okay, so, you know, just to get inside your head a little bit, have you ever been on a train ride?
Yes, I have.
Have you?
Several.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. Not many people travel by train anymore.
Yeah, if you go to Europe, you have to remember I'm 10 days older than dirt. And so I used to get to Europe.
I like that.
I've been to Europe quite a few times, and Europe utilizes trains a lot. Okay,
a lot. Yeah.
And of course, their topography and their national lines are a lot different.
It's a beautiful trip, isn't it?
It is.
It really
is.
I had the opportunity when I was very young to take a train, through what was then East Berlin.
Yes.
We went in for it was a train tour on the way back out. I remember crossing the checkpoint and things getting really tense, and then coming back across and everybody going, oh.
Yes.
So what's coming down the pipeline for you? Where are you going to be? What are you working on?
Well, I've got a series that I'm working on now for people that like A Land Remembered by Patrick Smith. I'm working on a series now that starts with the Battle of Kings Mountain in the Revolutionary War and goes all the way through the Second War, and it's a 4-book series about a family who lives Florida history.
That's big from the where are we going now from
the Kings Mountain battle in, believe it or not, South Carolina. And the reason why it's so important, GW, was the first real influx of settlers into Florida came because of that. What happened was the Tories lost, and all the loyalists that were in the Carolinas and Georgia were pretty much told, if you want to live, leave. So what happened was they came to the only colony, and a lot of people forget that Florida was an English colony. It was the 14 colonies, and those people that were loyalists came south of the Florida-Georgia border to go to the loyal 14th colony.
Wow, fantastic.
And that's where we start.
So we start there and we go all the way through, you said, to the Second World War.
Yeah, because the Second World War.
It's one family. This is kind of a dynastic history tale. Wow. That's a deep read.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's going to be fantastic. We want you to make sure you let us know when that happens.
We'll do it, GW.
Absolutely. We're going to have to wrap it up. See, 10 minutes goes so fast on the show. And as we wrap it up, we're going to say a special thank you to our partners and our friends at Something Unique Magazine, Space Coast Comics, Wordfire Press, Famous Faces and Funnies, Off the Chain Radio with author Yvonne Mason, and Heather Reed at Asylum Convention Entertainment Services, as well as our great new friends. We just got a new partner over at the Brevard Renaissance Fair.
That's great.
Talk about a creative environment. It's like immersing yourself in a historical period for a week of your life. And it's just an amazing group. We thank those guys very much. I'm GW Pomacher. We have been hanging here with DL Havlin, the author of The Bait Man. Look down below for those links, folks. Remember, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next.